La alarma perforó el aire como un grito desesperado, mientras Jake Morrison corría por los pasillos metálicos de la Estación Espacial Omega 7. El sudor goteaba por su frente cuando esquivaba los cables que colgaban del techo dañado. Detrás de él, los rugidos guturales de las criaturas alienígenas resonaban cada vez más cerca. ¡Maldición!, gritó al comunicador. Comando, necesitamos evacuación inmediata. Las bestias han roto el perímetro de contención. La voz quebrada del comandante Phillips llegó a través de la estática. Eres el último superviviente en tu sector. Jake se detuvo bruscamente al llegar a una intersección. A su izquierda, los pasillos se extendían hacia los hangares de escape. A su derecha, el laboratorio principal donde la doctora Lisa Cameron había estado trabajando en el... Los rugidos se acercaban rápidamente por ambos extremos. ¿Qué diablos está pasando aquí?, murmuró revisando su rifle de plasma. Solo quedaban 3 disparos en el cargador. Desde las sombras apareció una figura familiar. Era Cameron, pero algo había cambiado en ella. Sus ojos brillaban con una luz extraña, casi dorada, y su piel tenía un tono ligeramente azulado. «Jake», dijo con una voz que sonaba diferente, más profunda. «No puedes huir de ellas. Son los cazadores supremos de Kepler 42b. Han eliminado a civilizaciones enteras. Doctora, ¿qué le pasó a su apariencia?». Cameron sonrió de manera inquietante. «He aprendido algo fascinante sobre estas criaturas. Vinieron aquí siguiendo una antigua tradición, una prueba que ninguna especie ha superado jamás». Los rugidos se intensificaron. Jake podía escuchar las garras raspando contra el metal, acercándose desde múltiples direcciones. El aire se llenó de un aroma metálico y extraño. «Prueba. ¿De qué habla?». «La prueba del depredador», explicó Cameron, caminando lentamente hacia él. «Cada especie que encuentran debe enfrentar a su campeón más fuerte. Si pierden, la especie es marcada para la extinción». Jake retrocedió manteniendo el rifle apuntado. «¿Y si ganan?». «Nadie ha ganado nunca, Jake. Por eso siguen vivos y expandiéndose por la galaxia». Repentinamente, las paredes comenzaron a vibrar. Una criatura masiva apareció al final del pasillo principal. Tenía al menos 3 metros de altura, con múltiples brazos armados con garras afiladas como navajas. Su piel era negra como el espacio, con líneas bioluminiscentes que pulsaban en patrones hipnóticos. «Es hermosa, ¿verdad?», susurró Cameron. «El alfa de su especie. Ha venido personalmente a conocer a los humanos». Jake disparó su rifle, pero los proyectiles de plasma rebotaron harmlessly contra la piel de la criatura. Esta rugió con fuerza ensordecedora, mostrando hileras de dientes cristalinos. «No funcionará», dijo Cameron. «Pero yo tengo una idea diferente, algo que aprendí estudiando sus patrones de comportamiento». La criatura se detuvo repentinamente, como si hubiera detectado algo inusual. Sus ojos del tamaño de platos se fijaron en Cameron con curiosidad. «¿Qué está haciendo?», preguntó Jake confundido. Camber comenzó a moverse de manera extraña, casi como si estuviera bailando. Sus movimientos eran fluidos pero calculados, siguiendo un ritmo que parecía resonar con las pulsaciones bioluminiscentes de la criatura. «Estoy usando algo que aprendí de la Tierra», murmuró sin dejar de moverse. «Algo que ninguna otra especie en la galaxia conoce». La criatura inclinó su cabeza masiva, claramente intrigada. Otros rugidos distantes indicaban que más cazadores se acercaban, pero el alfa levantó una garra aparentemente ordenándoles que se detuvieran. Jake observaba asombrado mientras Cameron continuaba su extraña danza, preguntándose qué truco terrestre podría posiblemente funcionar contra los depredadores más temidos del universo conocido. La Estación Espacial Omega 7 temblaba bajo los pasos de docenas de criaturas alienígenas que se habían detenido para observar este encuentro sin precedentes. Jake Morrison apretó su rifle inútil, sabiendo que el destino de la humanidad dependía ahora de lo que la doctora Lisa Cameron estuviera intentando. Las luces de emergencia parpadeaban creando sombras danzantes, mientras Cameron continuaba sus movimientos hipnóticos. La criatura alfa emitió un sonido diferente, menos agresivo, más curioso. «Doctora», susurró Jake, «¿qué está haciendo exactamente?». Cameron no respondió inmediatamente. Estaba completamente concentrada en su extraña coreografía, moviéndose en círculos lentos alrededor de la criatura masiva. Sus ojos dorados nunca dejaban de mirar directamente a los ojos del alfa. «Estoy comunicándome», murmuró finalmente, pero no como cualquier otra especie lo haría. La criatura extendió uno de sus brazos múltiples, tocando suavemente el aire cerca de Cameron sin lastimarla. Era un gesto casi comparativo. Jake no podía creer lo que veía en sus ojos. «Durante meses he estudiado sus patrones de caza», explicó Cameron sin dejar de moverse. «Descubrí algo que los xenobiólogos de toda la galaxia han pasado por alto. Estas criaturas no son solo depredadores, son artistas». ¿Artistas? Jake frunció el ceño. «Doctora, han matado a millones». «Sí, pero observa cómo lo hacen». Cameron señaló las líneas bioluminiscentes del alfa que pulsaban en patrones cada vez más complejos. Cada ataque, cada movimiento de caza, sigue un patrón estético. Están creando arte con la violencia. La criatura comenzó a moverse también, imitando algunos de los gestos de Cameron. Era como ver a dos bailarines encontrando un ritmo común. Otros cazadores aparecieron en los pasillos adyacentes, pero permanecieron inmóviles, observando con fascinación.
Mi hipótesis era correcta.
Su prueba del depredador no busca fuerza bruta o tecnología avanzada, busca algo más profundo. Creatividad, expresión artística auténtica. Jake comenzaba a entender. ¿Y usted está? Estoy mostrándole ballet clásico terrestre combinado con danza contemporánea. Sonrió Cameron, algo que solo los humanos hemos desarrollado de esta manera específica. El alfa emitió una serie de sonidos melódicos completamente diferentes a sus rugidos anteriores. Las líneas en su piel comenzaron a cambiar de color, creando patrones que Jake nunca había visto antes. Era hermoso y aterrador al mismo tiempo. «Está respondiendo», susurró Cameron con emoción. «Está creando su propia danza en respuesta a la mía». Otros cazadores comenzaron a moverse desde las sombras, pero no para atacar. Se posicionaron alrededor del área central, creando una especie de círculo. Sus propias líneas bioluminiscentes comenzaron a pulsar en sincronía. «Doctora, ¿qué significa esto?» Cameron continuó bailando, pero ahora el alfa se movía con ella, creando una danza dual extraña y hermosa. «Significa que estamos pasando la prueba del depredador, Jake, no a través de la fuerza». La danza continuó durante varios minutos más. Cameron incorporaba movimientos clásicos de ballet con giros modernos, mientras el alfa respondía con movimientos fluidos que desafiaban su tamaño masivo. Era como ver a la elegancia terrestre conversando con la gracia alienígena. Finalmente, Cameron realizó una serie de piruetas que culminaron en una pose final. La criatura respondió extendiendo uno de sus brazos múltiples hasta casi tocar el de ella. El silencio que siguió fue absoluto. Todas las criaturas en la estación habían dejado de moverse. Solo se escuchaba el zumbido de los sistemas de soporte vital dañados. Entonces el alfa se irguió completamente y emitió un sonido que resonó por toda la estación. No era un rugido de caza, sino algo más parecido a un canto. Todas las otras criaturas respondieron al unísono, creando una sinfonía alienígena que llenó cada pasillo de Omega 7. Cameron finalmente se relajó, respirando pesadamente. «Lo logramos, Jake. Hemos superado la prueba del depredador. ¿Cómo puede estar tan segura?» Antes de que Cameron pudiera responder, el alfa se acercó lentamente. Con movimientos cuidadosos tocó suavemente la frente de Cameron con un brillo dorado se extendió desde el punto de contacto. «Están compartiendo algo conmigo», murmuró Cameron. «Recuerdos, conocimiento». «Oh, Dios mío, Jake. No son solo cazadores, son preservadores de arte. Cada especie que falla la prueba, sus culturas son documentadas antes de que desaparezcan. Y nosotros», Cameron sonrió, sus ojos ahora brillando con la misma luz dorada que había visto antes. «Nosotros acabamos de ser invitados a unirse a algo mucho más grande que una simple prueba de supervivencia. The Predator's test had begun as humanity's greatest nightmare, but through an unexpected fusion of Earth's artistic heritage and alien intelligence, it was becoming something else, Entirely, Cameron had discovered that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't force or technology, but the uniquely human ability to express beauty through movement and creativity. As Jake watched the impossible scene unfolding around him, he realized that this was only the beginning of humanity's true journey into the cosmic community. The aliens hadn't come to destroy them. They had come to see if humans possess something worth preserving in the vast tapestry of galactic civilization. The Alpha creature stepped back, its bioluminescent patterns now pulsing in harmony with Cameron's heartbeat. Through their shared connection, she could sense the approval and excitement of not just this hunting party, but of an entire galactic network of species that had passed similar tests throughout history. Jake, prepare yourself, Cameron said, her voice now carrying harmonics that hadn't been there before. We're about to learn what it really means to be part of the galactic community. The massive alien gestured toward the damaged sections of Omega-7, and immediately smaller creatures began emerging from hidden spaces throughout the station. But these weren't hunters, they were builders, engineers, artists. The appendages carried tools and materials that seemed to bend reality itself as they began repairing the station with impossible efficiency. They're fixing everything, Jake observed in amazement. But why? Because we passed the test, Cameron explained. The Predator's test isn't about survival, it's about demonstrating that a species has developed something unique and valuable to contribute to the galactic collective. The Alpha approached Jake directly, extending one of its smaller arms. When Jake hesitantly reached out to touch it, he felt a warm sensation flow through his mind. Suddenly, he could understand the creature's communications directly. Welcome, Hamid Jake. The thoughts formed in his consciousness. Your species-mate Cameron Dancer has shown us the movement art beauty that your kind creates. This is rare, precious, unique among the galaxy children. Jake's eyes widened as he processed this mental communication. You can speak to us directly? We share, connect, communicate with all who pass the test trial evaluation. Your species will now be protected, guided, nurtured as you develop your gifts for the great collective harmony. Through the shared connection, Jake began to see flashes of other worlds, other species that had passed their own versions of the test. There were beings of pure energy who created music from stellar winds, crystalline entities that grew living sculptures from mineral deposits, and aquatic species that painted with bioluminescent bacteria across ocean floors. Each species brings something different, Cameron explained, now able to share in the mental link. Humans bring dance, music, visual arts, but more than that, we bring the ability to improvise, to create something new in the moment. The Alpha's thoughts carried approval. Most species groups create from tradition memory, established patterns. Humans create from emotion, spontaneity, new birth. This makes your art beauty expression valuable, rare, sought. As the alien repair crews worked with incredible precision, Jake watched the station transform. Where there had been sterile metal corridors, flowing artistic elements began to appear. The aliens were incorporating human design elements they had observed, creating a fusion of functionality and beauty that surpassed anything either species could have achieved alone. What happens now? Jake asked through the mental link. Now you learn, came the Alpha's response.
Your species will be given knowledge, tools, guidance to develop your artistic gifts further. In return, you will share your unique, beautiful, spontaneous creations with the Galaxy Collective.
Cameron walked to one of the repaired viewing ports, gazing out at space where once there had been empty void. Ships of incredible design now waited. They weren't warships. They were mobile galleries, performance spaces, creative laboratories that defied conventional understanding of physics and aesthetics. Look at them, Jake, she whispered. Each ship represents a different artistic tradition from across the galaxy, and now humanity gets to add our voice to that cosmic symphony. The Alpha approached them both, its massive form somehow conveying gentleness. The test drive trial evaluation was necessary because art beauty creation must be authentic, true from heart. It cannot be force-commanded artificial. Only when facing extinction-ending finality do species reveal their deepest creative souls. So all those species that failed, Jake began, did not fail through weakness in ability, the Alpha clarified. They failed because they had not yet developed true deep authentic artistic expression. Some focused only on technology tools machines. Others pursued only survival comfort safety. Beauty creation requires risk vulnerability openness. Cameron turned from the viewport, her enhanced eyes reflecting the cosmic lights outside. That's why the dance worked. Ballet and contemporary dance require complete vulnerability, absolute trust in your ability to express emotion through movement. I had to risk everything, my dignity, my safety, my life, to truly communicate through art. The mental link expanded, and suddenly Jake could sense the presence of thousands of other beings across the galaxy. Each consciousness carried its own unique artistic signature, its own creative voice in the vast galactic symphony. This is overwhelming, Jake admitted. It will become natural, easy, comfortable, with time experience growth, the Alpha assured him. Your species group will be given gradual, slow, careful introduction to the greater collective unity. First, you must return to your homeworld Earth and share this knowledge gift opportunity with your kind. As sea summoned by the Alpha's thoughts, a smaller craft materialized outside the viewing port. It was clearly of human design, but enhanced with alien technology that made it shimmer like a work of art in motion. Your transportation vessel Journey Maker, the Alpha explained, modified, improved, enhanced with our gift tools knowledge. They will allow you to travel, return, go back to Earth, while maintaining your connection link bond to the collective unity harmony. Cameron and Jake exchanged glances. The weight of what they had experienced, what they now represented for humanity, was staggering. They were no longer just survivors of an alien encounter. They were ambassadors to a galactic civilization based on artistic expression and creative collaboration. The responsibility is enormous, Cameron said softly. But so is the opportunity, Jake replied. We're going to change everything about how humanity sees itself in the universe. The Alpha's thoughts carried warmth and encouragement. Remember, no understand. The test trial evaluation never truly ends. Finesse concludes. Your species must continue to grow, develop, expand artistically. Stagnation, stopping, dying leads to removal, ejection, expulsion from the collective unity harmony. As they prepared to board their transformed vessel, Jake took one last look at the alien beings who had become their unexpected mentors and guides. The hunters, who had terrified him mere hours ago, now seemed like ancient teachers, wise guardians of something far more precious than any material treasure. Thank you, he said through the mental link, directing his gratitude not just to the Alpha, but to all the beings he could sense in the vast network of galactic consciousness. Their response came not in words, but in a wave of shared emotion. Welcome, excitement, anticipation, and above all, hope for what humanity might contribute to the ever-growing masterpiece of galactic civilization. La nave híbrida se deslizaba silenciosamente a través del espacio hacia la Tierra, llevando consigo a Jake Morrison y la doctora Lisa Cameron, ahora fundamentalmente cambiados por su encuentro con los cazadores de Kepler. Por 422, el interior de la nave era una maravilla de diseño fusionado, donde la funcionalidad humana se encontraba con la estética alienígena, de manera que desafiaba toda lógica conocida. Cameron se encontraba en la sala de comunicaciones, intentando establecer contacto con las autoridades terrestres. Su apariencia había seguido transformándose sutilmente. Sus ojos dorados ahora podían percibir espectros de luz que antes eran invisibles, y su mente procesaba información a velocidades que la asombraban. Houston Control, aquí nave Omega Recoverida 7, transmitió Dra. Cameron reportándose con superviviente Morrison. Tenemos información crítica sobre el contacto alienígena. La respuesta llegó cargada de estática y ansiedad. Dra. Cameron, se les había dado por desaparecidos hace 3 días. ¿Cuál es su estado y ubicación? Jake se acercó, notando que él también podía sentir las emociones de los controladores terrestres a través de la conexión mental que ahora compartía con la red galáctica. Era una sensación desconcertante pero no desagradable. Houston, necesitamos una reunión inmediata con el Consejo de Seguridad Mundial, respondió Cameron. Lo que hemos descubierto cambiará fundamentalmente la perspectiva de la humanidad sobre nuestro lugar en el universo. Mientras se acercaban a la Tierra, Cameron comenzó a documentar todo lo que había aprendido. A través de su conexión con el colectivo galáctico podía acceder a información sobre docenas de especies que habían pasado la prueba del depredador a lo largo de milenios. Jake, mira esto, dijo, proyectando holográficamente la historia de una especie llamada los armónicos de Vega. Desarrollaron una forma de música que podía alterar la estructura molecular de los materiales. Su arte literalmente respete la realidad física. Jake observó fascinado, mientras las imágenes mostraban seres etéreos creando sinfonías que transformaban asteroides en esculturas gigantescas que orbitaban sus soles como galerías cósmicas.
Y aquí están los tejedores de Próxima, continuó Cameron.
Crearon tapices dimensionales que servían como portales entre mundos, pero cada portal era también una obra de arte única que contaba la historia de su civilización. La información fluía constantemente a través de su mente expandida. Cameron podía ver patrones que conectaban todas estas formas artísticas dispares, como si fueran notas en una sinfonía cósmica gigantesca que se había estado componiendo durante millones de años.
¿Cuál es el papel de la humanidad en todo esto?, preguntó Jake.
Somos los improvisadores, explicó Cameron con creciente comprensión. Casi todas las especies desarrollan arte basado en tradiciones rígidas, patrones establecidos que se repiten con variaciones mínimas. Los humanos somos únicos porque podemos crear algo completamente nuevo en el momento, respondiendo a emociones e inspiraciones inmediatas. La conexión mental se intensificó repentinamente y ambos sintieron la presencia del alfa cazador que los había evaluado. Sus pensamientos llegaron con claridad cristalina. Humanos Cameron Jake se acercan a su mundo hogar origen. Deben preparar, advertir, instruir a su especie sobre los cambios, transformaciones que vienen. No todos de su especie grupo aceptarán, comprenderán, abrazarán esta nueva realidad, verdad, conocimiento. Cameron asintió, aunque sabía que el alfa podía sentir su reconocimiento a través del enlace mental. ¿Habrá resistencia de parte de los gobiernos terrestres? Siempre existe resistencia, temor, rechazo cuando las especies enfrentan expansión, crecimiento, evolución de conciencia, respondió el alfa. Algunos de su especie grupo temerán perder control, poder, dominancia. Otros temerán que sus tradiciones, costumbres, formas sean reemplazadas, absorbidas, eliminadas. Jake se preocupó al considerar las implicaciones. ¿Y si la humanidad como conjunto rechaza esta oportunidad? Entonces la oportunidad, regalo, invitación, se retiraría, removería, eliminaría. Vino la respuesta solemne, pero individuos, algunos pocos, podrían elegir, decidir, optar por unirse al colectivo, unidad, armonía, separadamente, independientemente, aparte su mundo hogar. La idea de abandonar la Tierra era desgarradora, pero Cameron entendía que podría ser necesario. A través de la red galáctica podía ver ejemplos de especies donde solo una fracción había elegido evolucionar artísticamente, mientras el resto permanecían sus mundos nativos, eventualmente desarrollándose por caminos completamente diferentes. Cuando la Tierra apareció en las pantallas de la nave, Jake sintió una mezcla de alegría y aprensión. Su mundo natal se veía exactamente igual que siempre, pero él sabía que ya no era la misma persona que había partido hacia Omega 7. Cameron se había transformado aún más dramáticamente. Ocasionalmente, patrones sutiles de bioluminiscencia aparecían en su piel cuando se concentraba intensamente. ¿Cómo explicamos esto sin sonar completamente locos?, preguntó Jake. Con demostraciones, respondió Cameron. Las autoridades necesitarán evidencia tangible. Activó los sistemas de la nave que respondieron no solo a comandos vocales sino a sus intenciones. La tecnología alienígena había sido diseñada para responder al impulso creativo, convirtiendo cada acción en una forma de expresión artística. Las consolas de control se iluminaron con patrones que reflejaban el estado emocional de Cameron. Cuando se sentía confiada, los colores eran cálidos y fluidos. Cuando experimentaba ansiedad, los patrones se volvían más angulares y fríos. «Esto es increíble», murmuró Jake. «La tecnología es responsiva emocionalmente». «Es más que eso», explicó Cameron. «Es una extensión de la expresión artística. Cada civilización en el colectivo galáctico ha desarrollado tecnología que amplifica sus capacidades creativas particulares. Para nosotros, significa tecnología que responde a la improvisación y la innovación emocional. Mientras se acercaban a la atmósfera terrestre, recibieron comunicaciones de múltiples agencias gubernamentales. Las noticias del regreso de los supervivientes de Omega 7 se había extendido rápidamente y había considerable confusión sobre cómo habían logrado regresar a la Tierra. Nave no identificada. Aquí control de espacio aéreo norte. Identifiquen su origen y explicó en sus capacidades de vuelo no registradas. Cameron sonrió, sabiendo que esta sería la primera de muchas conversaciones difíciles. Control, aquí doctora Lisa Cameron. Nuestras capacidades de vuelo han sido mejoradas por nuestros nuevos aliados galácticos. El silencio en las comunicaciones duró varios segundos antes de que llegara la respuesta. Doctora Cameron, necesita aterrizar inmediatamente en la base Edwards. Habrá representantes de múltiples agencias esperándola. Mientras descendían hacia la base militar, Jake observó que su nave atraía la atención no solo por sus capacidades de vuelo imposibles, sino por su belleza pura. La superficie del casco cambiaba colores sutilmente, creando patrones que eran hipnóticos pero no amenazantes. Cameron, ¿está preparada para lo que viene? Ella cerró sus ojos dorados por un momento, conectándose brevemente con el colectivo galáctico para obtener fuerza y orientación, tan preparada como puede estar cualquiera para cambiar el curso de la historia humana. Al aterrizar, fueron inmediatamente rodeados por personal militar, científicos y oficiales de inteligencia. Cameron pudo sentir sus emociones a través de su conexión expandida: curiosidad, temor, ambición y en algunos casos, hostilidad abierta. General Robert Hayes se acercó flanqueado por asesores y guardias armados. Doctora Cameron, señor Morrison, necesitamos un informe completo inmediatamente. ¿Qué sucedió en Omega 7 y cómo obtuvieron esta tecnología? Cameron intercambió una mirada con Jake, sabiendo que las próximas horas determinarían si la humanidad abrazaría su nueva oportunidad cósmica. General Hayes comenzó, permitiendo que un toque de bioluminiscencia apareciera en sus ojos para demostrar que algo fundamental había cambiado. Lo que tenemos que contarle transformará todo lo que la humanidad cree saber sobre nuestro propósito en el universo. El momento crítico había llegado. El destino de la humanidad en el colectivo galáctico dependía ahora de su capacidad para comunicar la verdad, de una manera que inspirara cooperación en lugar de pánico. As the debriefing session began in the sterile conference room of Edwards Air Force Base, Dr. Cameron found herself facing a panel of humanity's most influential leaders. The Secretary of Defense sat alongside representatives from NASA, the CIA, and the UN Security Council. Their expressions ranged from skeptical curiosity to barely concealed hostility. General Hayes activated a recording device and leaned forward.
Doctor Cameron, Mr.
Morrison, we need to understand exactly what transpired at Omega 7. Our last communication indicated a complete loss of personnel and facility. Cameron exchanged a glance with Jake, feeling the weight of humanity's future resting on her ability to explain the impossible. Through her enhanced connection, she could sense the underlying fears and motivations of everyone in the room. General, what we encountered wasn't an invasion in the traditional sense, she began carefully. The beings from Kepler 442b came to Earth following an ancient protocol, what they called the Predator's Test. Secretary of Defense Janet Walsh interrupted sharply. Are you saying these aliens were testing us? For what purpose? To determine whether humanity possesses something valuable enough to preserve and nurture. Cameron replied, every advanced species in the galaxy must pass this evaluation to join the galactic collective. The room erupted in murmurs and whispered conversations. CIA Director Marcus Thompson leaned forward intensely. And what exactly were they testing for? Military capability? Technological expansion? Neither, Jake interjected, still amazed by his own answer. They were testing for artistic creativity and authentic self-expression. The silence that followed was profound. Several officials exchanged glances that clearly conveyed their skepticism about the mental stability of the two survivors. Elena Rodriguez, NASA's chief scientist, spoke first. You're claiming that aliens traveled across interstellar space to evaluate human art? Cameron stood slowly, allowing the subtle bioluminescent patterns in her skin to become visible. The reaction was immediate. Several security personnel reached for their weapons while others stared in fascination. "I'm claiming that art is the most precious commodity in the universe," Cameron said calmly. "Technologies can be copied, military strategies can be learned, but authentic creative expression is unique to each species that develops it." She gestured toward the window, where their hybrid vessel remained under heavy guard. "That ship represents technology that responds to artistic impulse rather than mechanical command. It's not just transportation, it's a canvas that allows the pilot to paint with motion and energy." General Hayes studied Cameron's glowing features with growing concern. "Cameron, what exactly did these aliens do to you?" "They offer me a connection to the Galactic Collective," she explained. "Through this link, I can access the artistic heritage of dozens of species across thousands of years. Imagine having the entire creative history of multiple civilizations flowing through your consciousness." Through the mental link, Cameron could feel the Alpha's presence monitoring this crucial conversation. The alien entity was assessing not just her words, but the emotional responses of the human leaders. "The beings you call the predator species aren't conquerors," Cameron continued. "They're curators of the galaxy's greatest treasure, diversity of creative expression. Species that pass the test become part of something magnificent, a cosmic collaboration of artists working together to create beauty on an unimaginable scale." Secretary Walsh's expression hardened. "And species that fail this test?" The question hung heavily in the air. Cameron felt Jake's tension through their shared connection as he remembered the implication of the Alpha's earlier communications. "Species that fail are allowed to continue their existence," Cameron said carefully, "but they remain isolated from the galactic community. Eventually, most either destroy themselves through warfare and environmental collapse, or they stagnate culturally and fade into obscurity." Rodriguez pulled up holographic displays of the data they managed to gather from long-range sensors during the initial alien arrival. "These energy signatures are beyond anything we understand. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done so easily." "Destruction isn't their goal," Jake explained. "Preservation says, but they only preserve species that contribute something unique and valuable to the cosmic tapestry." Through her expanded senses, Cameron could feel the growing division in the room. Some officials were beginning to grasp the magnitude of the opportunity, while others were focusing on perceived threats to existing power structures. General Hayes asked the question Cameron had been dreading. What would joining this galactic collective mean for human sovereignty? Would we lose control of our own planet? We would gain influence and knowledge beyond imagination, Cameron replied. But yes, it would mean accepting that humanity is part of something larger than itself. Some humans would choose to live among the stars, contributing to galactic artistic projects. Others would remain on Earth, which would become a protected cultural preserve. The implication that Earth might become a kind of cosmic park didn't sit well with several officials. CIA Director Thompson voiced their concerns. So we'd become exhibits in an alien zoo? We'd become contributors to the greatest collaborative art project in the known universe, Cameron corrected. Earth wouldn't be a zoo. It would be a recognized source of unique creative inspiration, protected and nurtured to continue developing human forms of expression. Senator Patricia Collins, representing the UN Security Council, raised a critical point. Dr. Cameron, how do we know this isn't an elaborate form of cultural imperialism? This island's convincing species to surrender their independence under the guise of artistic collaboration? Cameron felt the Alpha's amusement through their connection. The question revealed a fundamentally human perspective that the alien entity found both predictable and somewhat endearing. Senator, I've seen the histories of species that joined the collective, Cameron replied. None of them lost their cultural identity. If anything, their unique traits were amplified and celebrated. The collective doesn't mohonoshines, it diversifies. She gestured again, and the conference room's lights dimmed as holographic displays materialized around them. Through her connection to the alien technology in their ship, Cameron was able to project images directly from the galactic archives. These are the crystal singers of Altair 7, she explained as ethereal beings appeared in the air before them. They discovered how to create music by resonating crystalline formations across their entire planet. The collective provided them with technologies to extend their compositions across multiple star systems. The next image showed aquatic beings creating massive bioluminescent murals in the depths of their world's oceans. The deep painters of Oceania chose living organisms as their medium. The collective gave them the ability to seed compatible life forms on dozens of water worlds, creating an interplanetary gallery of living art. The displays continued, showing species after species that had not only maintained their unique identities, but had seen those identities flourish beyond anything they could have achieved. Alone, Secretary Walsh remained unconvinced. This assumes we can trust these aliens' intentions. What guarantees do we have that this isn't an elaborate deception? Before Cameron could respond, Sheikh stepped forward. Secretary, 3 days ago I would have asked the same question, but I felt their minds directly through the connection, their emotions, their motivations. Deception requires a kind of duplicity that simply isn't present in their thought patterns. And how do we verify that your perceptions haven't been manipulated? Asked Dr. Rodriguez. Cameron smiled, understanding the trap of skepticism they were falling into. There's only one way to truly understand what we're offering humanity. Someone else needs to experience the connection directly. The sucession created immediate alarma among the security personnel, but Cameron continued calmly. The alpha entity that evaluated us is still monitoring this conversation through our link. It would be willing to establish a temporary connection with any volunteer, allowing them to experience the Galactic Collective's reality firsthand. General Hayes stood abruptly. Absolutely not. We're not allowing alien influence over additional personnel. Then you're choosing ignorance over knowledge, Cameron replied sadly. And that choice will determine whether humanity remains isolated on a single world or becomes part of something magnificent that spans the galaxy. The room felt silent as the weight of the decision settled over everyone present. Through her connection to the collective, Cameron could sense similar debates happening on dozens of worlds throughout galactic history. The fear of the unknown, the resistance to change, the desire to maintain control, these were universal challenges that every species faced when confronted with the opportunity for transcendence. The next few hours would determine not just humanity's immediate future, but whether they would be remembered as the species that chose to embrace cosmic collaboration or as another civilization that let fear overcome possibility. Time was running out, and the galaxy was watching to see what choice humanity would ultimately make. The tension in the conference room reached a breaking point as General Hayes called for a recess. Officials huddled in small groups, their heated whispered discussions creating an undercurrent of anxiety that Cameron could feel through her enhanced senses. Jake stood beside her, both of them aware that humanity's cosmic destiny hung in the balance of these crucial conversations. During the break, Dr. Rodriguez approached Cameron privately. Doctor, I need to ask you something directly. Are you still entirely human? Cameron considered the question carefully. Through her connection to the Galactic Collective, she could perceive layers of reality that had been invisible before. Her cognitive processes had accelerated, and her emotional range had expanded to encompass sensations that had no human names. I'm human plus, she replied honestly. Everything I was before is still here, but enhanced and expanded. I can still feel homesickness for my childhood home in Colorado, still crave my grandmother's apple pie, still laugh at silly jokes, but I can also perceive beauty in electromagnetic spectrums, communicate across vast distances through quantum entanglement, and understand artistic concepts that transcend three-dimensional limitations. Dr. Rodriguez nodded slowly. And Jake? Has he undergone the same transformation? Jake overheard and joined their conversation. Not to the same degree. Cameron was the primary contact point with the Alpha. My changes are more subtle, enhanced empathy, some telepathic sensitivity, and an intuitive understanding of the alien technologies. Could these changes be reversed if necessary? Dr. Rodriguez asked with scientific curiosity. I wouldn't want them reversed, Cameron replied firmly. Elena, I've glimpsed what humanity could become if we embrace this opportunity. we could be composing symphonies that span solar systems within a century, creating art forms that exist in dimensions we haven't even discovered yet.
When the session resumed, Secretary Walsh took the lead with a more aggressive approach.
Dr. Cameron, let's discuss the practical implication. If humanity joins this collective, what happens to our existing governmental structures, our economic systems, our military defenses? Cameron felt the Alpha's attention, focused more intently on the proceedings. The alien entity was particularly interested in humanity's complex social structures, which were apparently more intricate than those of most species they had encountered. Those systems would evolve naturally over time, Cameron explained. The collective doesn't impose governmental structures, it simply provides opportunities for growth and collaboration. If anything, human diversity in social organization would be valued as another form of creative expression. CIA Director Thompson pressed harder. What about our defense capabilities? If we're part of this collective, are we protected from hostile species? Marcus, Cameron said, using his first name to establish a more personal connection. There are no hostile species at the level of galactic civilization we're being invited to join. Species that remain focused on conflict and aggression don't pass the artistic evaluation, they remain confined to their local systems until they either evolve beyond warfare or destroy themselves. The holographic displays activated again, showing star maps that reveal the distribution of collective member species across the galaxy. The pattern was clear. Advanced civilizations clustered in regions of space that were remarkably peaceful, while isolated aggressive species occupied small contested territories on the periphery. Senator Collins raised a concern that resonated with many present. Dr. Cameron, what about human religious beliefs? Would joining this collective require abandoning our spiritual traditions? Cameron smiled, feeling the warmth of diverse spiritual energy flowing through the galactic network. Senator, the collective includes species with thousands of different spiritual perspectives, from beings who worship through mathematical precision to entities that find the divine in quantum fluctuations. Human religious diversity would be celebrated as another facet of our creative contribution. She paused, accessing memories from species she had never physically encountered. Some collective members have synthesized science and spirituality in ways that make both more profound. Others have discovered that artistic expression is itself a form of prayer or meditation. General Hayes returned to what he clearly saw as the core issue. Bottom line, Dr. Cameron, are you recommending that humanity surrender its independence to join this alien collective? I'm recommending that humanity choose growth over stagnation, collaboration over isolation, and creative evolution over territorial defense, Cameron replied passionately. We're being offered the chance to help compose the universe's greatest work of art. The room fell silent again as officials processed the magnitude of what was being proposed. Through her connection, Cameron could feel the Alpha's growing impatience. The entity had spent considerable time evaluating humanity and was eager to move forward with either integration or departure. Dr. Rodriguez finally spoke what many were thinking. Cameron, could we have some time to observe and evaluate before making a final decision? Perhaps a trial period where we could experience this collective connection without full commitment. Before Cameron could respond, she felt the Alpha's presence intensify. The alien entity was preparing to communicate directly with the assembled humans, something that hadn't been done before. The lights in the conference room began to fluctuate and a low harmonic vibration filled the air. Several officials reached for their security devices, but Cameron quickly raised her hands. "Don't be alarmed," she called out. "The Alpha wishes to address you directly." The temperature in the room dropped slightly, and a presence that was vast and ancient, but not malevolent, made itself known to every person present. Unlike Cameron and Jake, the others couldn't hear thoughts directly, but they could feel the entity's emotional signature, patient, wise, and genuinely hopeful about humanity's potential. When the Alpha's voice manifested, it came not through sound but through a resonance that each person felt in their bones. Human leaders, I am the one you call Alpha. I have observed your species for sufficient time to complete our evaluation. Your creativity and improvisational abilities are rare and valuable. However, your fear and desire for control are also strong. Several officials sifted uncomfortably as they felt the alien consciousness, examining their motivations and concerns. That honors both your caution and our requirements. Select representatives volunteers from your species to join the collective temporarily. They will serve as ambassadors' bridges while your species decides its future path. Secretary Walsh found her voice first. How many representatives would you require? 12 individuals with diverse creative backgrounds, came the response. Artists, musicians, writers, dancers, inventors, humans who exemplify your species' improvisational gifts. They will spend one cycle year among the collective learning and contributing. Then they return to share knowledge, experience, understanding with your species. The proposal created immediate buzz among the officials. It offered a way to gain first-hand knowledge without committing humanity entirely to an unknown future. General Hayes asked the practical question, and if these ambassadors report back favorably, then what? Then humanity chooses its path with full knowledge, understanding, wisdom. The Alpha replied, those who wish to join the collective may do so freely. Those who prefer to remain on Earth home will be protected, respected, honored as they develop your species' unique artistic traditions. Cameron felt a surge of hope through her connection. This compromise could work, acknowledge human caution, while providing the opportunity for growth and discovery that the collective offered. How would these ambassadors be selected? Asked Dr. Rodriguez. Through artistic demonstration, exhibition, expression, the Alpha responded. Cameron dancers showed us authentic creative passion cannot be hidden, falsified, imitated. We will recognize those humans who possess the inner fire spark flame that drives true artistic creation. The session continued for several more hours, but the fundamental framework had been established. Humanity would have the chance to experience the galactic collective without surrendering their independence. It was a solution that honored both species' needs and opened the door to possibilities that neither could achieve alone. As the day ended and officials departed to consult with their governments, Cameron stood beside Jake, looking out at their hybrid vessel under the desert stars. Do you think they'll accept the compromise? Jake asked. Cameron felt the vast network of galactic consciousness surrounding them like a warm embrace. They will, because deep down, every human dreams of being part of something greater than themselves. We just needed to find a path that honored their fears as well as their hopes. The first phase of humanity's cosmic journey was about to begin, and the universe was waiting to see what unique beauty the human species would contribute to the eternal work of creation.